All right, I got Sarah here, my new friend from the beautiful Willamette Valley. How's it going, Sarah? You doing okay up there?
It's going great. It's sunny and beautiful from inside. It's wonderful.
That's good. Well, I know you're inside. Hopefully, you'll be able to get some fresh air later on. But I'm so thankful that you're taking the time to do this because you're a rock star from all the things that I can see that you're doing in terms
Thank
of
you.
fundraising. Before we get into that, can you tell us about yourself and the organization and what you folks do up there?
Yeah. So my name is Sarah Masser. I'm the donor programs manager. So I kind of manage all the different ways that donations come to us. So all the workplace giving, all of the e-appeals, direct mail appeals. I kind of have my finger in all of the pies, just to make sure that we're talking to people as much as we should be in the way that we should be. That's kind of my role within the organization. I'm very lucky. I have an incredible team that does communications, major gifts, management. We've come together really well. We've got a good team going, and we are in Salem, Oregon, and it's like I said, beautiful today. But we are a humane society. We serve about 4,500 animals each year. We have humane ed. We get out in the community and do outreach stuff, and we just try to be as big of a resource for our community as we can in all the ways that we can figure out how to be.
Awesome. As an animal lover, thank you for what you're doing. I feel like there are some causes right now who maybe aren't getting the attention for the good work that they're doing and simultaneously feeling like they can't be out there fundraising, but you're sort
Yeah.
of bucking that trend. But before we get into that, what's been the impact on your organization? We've talked to a lot of human services organizations, which I think that impact has been obvious. But what have you all been going through the last 30 days or so?
Yeah, we haven't. I think mostly the way it's affected us is that we've had to be able to be quick thinking and innovative and quick pivoting. And our biggest challenge has just been how do we figure out functioning in the new landscape that it is
Hmm.
right now. We went to appointment only for all intake and adoptions, which is our first step. We canceled all events, and then it was
Yeah.
appointment only, just to manage who was coming in the building and how many there were. Um, as far as numbers for directly hit by COVID anything, we haven't seen a rush of animals coming in
Okay.
or anything like that, which is great because we just don't know what's going to come and we don't know what's going to happen. So our biggest focus was getting the animals that were in the shelter out to foster as much as we could, to make sure that A, that there was room, and B, knowing that our numbers of staff in the shelter was going to be limited. And so we had to make sure that the resources, they weren't going to be overworked being in the shelter, and that the animals had all the chance for love and attention. And we
Yeah.
like to have them in foster homes because it also gives us a, a deeper dive into like how they are in the home, which is really
Yeah.
beneficial for us. So that's been the biggest thing, is just trying to make sure that we were prepared for anything that came our way, and that the animals that were with us are able to be placed, but then safe and not kind of in the midst of all of the craziness. So yeah, that was our biggest kind of shift, is learning to do things differently.
Well, you're working from home, obviously, and you've got
Yes.
shifts of people going to the shelter, being with the animals. I assume there's new sanitation things
Oh
happening
man.
and all that. But
Yeah.
while you're juggling all those things, you kept the fundraising going, which is what really
Yes.
stood out to me and why I wanted to talk to you. You were, kind of business as usual through beginning of March. It looks like you had some events and things planned. What was the what was the shift in fundraising? Did you all have a sit down and strategize? Was there ever any discussion about, how are we going to do this? Should we fundraise? Should we not? We're not human services. What was that kind of initial discussion like?
Yeah, I think we had some stuff kind of already planned. We were going into a big event in June, and so we have a kitten shower that launches every April. So we really already had some big fundraising pieces lined out. What we had to figure out was if it was right for our people.
Hmm.
But even that, having that conversation, once we all got in the room, and we were working with a consultant out of Portland, Oregon, the Varga Group, and they're incredible. And so we were talking to our contact there, and it just, I think our hesitation to it was because I think asking in any time of crisis or upheaval is not necessarily a comfortable thing to do. But when we all got around the table and kind of in talking with the Varga group, it really hit home that people who are engaged in your mission and love what you're doing and seeing the impact that you're having in your community want the opportunity to help, and they want the opportunity to make a difference, because most everybody is in a position of not having a lot of control about what's going on and control about things. And my coworker Erin has said it, and it sticks in my mind. She says, we're not asking people to do something that's going to make them unhappy.
Yeah.
And that is what goes back to me, is that we decided that we wanted to be very upfront and have that line of communication open with our people about everything that we were going on, what we were changing, and the ways that we were shifting things. So we already knew that there was going to be a lot of communication going out. And I sent a direct email out to our monthly donors just to touch base and just to have an open line of communication. So once that was already going, it just fit so well to say, yes, we can give them a way to support us. We can give them something to bring a little bit of joy in their lives in a very hectic time. And so it started, I think our apprehension was just carried over from the general apprehension of the entire situation. I think this is just not a comfortable place to be in. And what we actually found is that in opening up that communication and opening up that and giving them opportunities to make a difference has blown my mind. It's blown my whole team's mind. I think our community really stepped up and showed us how much of a partnership it really is. And it's been very evident in the last few weeks of just how important that partnership is.
Yeah, I could tell by the results. It looks like it was tens of thousands of dollars raised, more than you did last March during, kind of a normal March and fundraising. You mentioned monthly donors. One thing that really stood out to me in your efforts was that you are very intentional about segmenting your communications. You're sending different things to different people. And I love the initial monthly donor email. That's what's on the screen now. I think it's just, it was early, it was late March, kind of early and then things, how they were unfolding, but just reaching out to them, saying thanks for being a monthly donor, which I think is great. Where did that idea come from? Because that was one of the first things that you sent out, it looks like.
Yeah. I send out an email monthly to them. So it's called the Insider Update. And it's really me just checking in and saying, hey, we're thinking of you. Hope things are going great. Here's some behind the scenes things that are going on in the shelter that you may not have heard of. So it's kind of just, again, one of those direct lines of communication that we try to keep open. This one came about because we had just kind of put out the kind of blanket email to everyone of here's the big update. And so I really wanted something that came directly from me to go to them. So we used this one as in replacement of the Insider Update for March. And this really came because I was still in the office at that point, and I asked our business office, how much in kind of guesstimations it takes for overhead costs for the shelter. And I realized that our monthly donors give over, but just about the same amount each month. And so in this, it really talks about, we are not having this, we're not getting really hard hit because we know that our monthly donors are protecting us. And so I really just wanted to make sure that they knew that they are our protection from situations like this, because we don't know what is going to come in the future. So just knowing that they are protecting us, it hit me really deeply in the heart. And I just wanted to make sure that they knew it too, and they felt it. And it was really important for me to get that message through to them.
I love that was,
hope that they absorbed it.
No, I think they did. I mean, you told me before we started recording that there were people who upgraded their gift. I love, you sort of protected them is kind of what stood out to me, because this was one of the first things you sent out. And I feel like sometimes monthly donors get lost in the shuffle a little bit. Like if you hadn't done this and they had just gotten your subsequent appeals, I feel like they would have said, "Oh, I'm already a monthly donor. Why are they asking this? Why are they saying this to me?" But this
Yeah.
getting out in front of them certainly paid dividends in terms of just how they receive the messaging after this
Yeah. And
email.
well, and for us, like our monthly donors, we don't send them all of the direct mail appeals. We only send them one each year. Like we have their communication plan is very customized because
Nice.
they should be, talked to differently, and they
Yeah.
should be related to a little bit differently because they are a special segment on all their own. So we've really tried in definitely last year to make sure that they have something that's their own, and they have their own way of communicating, and they all know that they can talk. They have a direct line to me every single month, and
Nice.
So yeah, it's been our communication with our monthly donors has really ramped up in the last year or two, and really been working well. I mean, it's an incredible tool for sure.
I love it. So you sent out the kind of blanket announcement. You sent out this nice stewardship piece. Then it came time for the appeal. You did kind of a big segmented appeal. Walk me through that. I love the content of the email, just sort of, addressing the elephant in the room. It was an explicit ask. What was sort of the strategy here? Because I think you segmented it maybe 3 ways instead of just sending out another blanket appeal.
Yeah, so we did 3 segments on this. So we knew, again, in working with our consultant, the Varga Group, we knew that we needed to have something and some way for people to give, because we knew we had a really good feeling that people were going to enjoy having an opportunity to make a difference. And we knew that they cared about us and they cared about the shelter, and we knew that they were wondering what was going on, and kind of so we definitely wanted to get something out and have a very direct fundraising ask in there. So we did a 3 segmented email. Segment 1 went to any kind of active or current donors. Okay. The second segment was geared to just the monthly donors.
Okay.
And
Great.
then our third went to everyone else, essentially.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up that monthly one. I think it's this middle guy here. It might be one of these. I'll put up here. But I like we were talking before, the monthly one asked for an increase in gifts, right? It didn't say become a donor because they were already a donor, obviously.
Yeah.
But, asked for an upgrade specifically from the monthly donors. I think it's this one.
It would be segment 2, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we left the give in there. But the ask line itself says give or consider increasing, I think is the way that we worded it.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was very much like, here's how the financial help impacts us, and here's what we're thinking. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to see, but we're trying to prepare. So yeah, give or increase your monthly giving amount today.
I love it.
And it worked. I mean, we had people calling and emailing and wanting to give more, and it's again, it was one of those mind-blowing moments where it was just like, if they feel engaged and you ask, people who can usually will step up and help out. It's yeah.
Well, I know you gave kudos to the community, but I think you should get a lot of the credit as well for being proactive and intentional. And it was really clear to me even before talking to you that you were doing things the right way. So
thank you.
Hats off to you all. And we've only talked about March. I mean, you've been doing things on into April now.
And one of the things I will say that I thought about this morning when I was kind of mentally preparing, is the first thing that we did when we knew that things were going to change is we put a pop-up on our website.
Okay.
And the pop-up pops up and says, we're going to appointment only. Here's this is what you need to know, like thank you or whatever, or leave clothes. And then it had a learn more, which took them to the big COVID statement. And then it had a different colored button that said donate. And I think that's something I've seen. We've seen a really big increase in just one-time donations on the website.
Okay. Wow.
And I would say that's probably having a hand in that. And that's, that kind of soft ask for people
Yeah.
you know, it was a really easy thing to add, and it's working from what I can tell.
I love the diversity of the asks also. There's the one-time donations, the Amazon wish list,
Yeah.
Facebook updates, giving people just a lot of outlets to help if
Mm-hmm.
they want to help differently.
Yeah.
You've been so gracious with your time. I really only have one more question for you.
Yeah.
If you were to maybe talk to another fundraiser who has been on the fence, maybe they're thinking, oh, we're animals or environmental, we're not needed right now. What would you say to that person? Because when I hear that, it sort of breaks my heart, and I see what you've done
Yeah.
and have been so successful. What are your sort of pep talk for those folks?
I would say that if you have donors who are very engaged and you have donors who love your organization, you can't gauge how important you are to them. So the biggest thing you can do is just ask them for help. And what I've seen is that if you have a really steady line of communication and you have really engaged people who love your mission as much as you do, asking them is not going to make them see any less of you. If anything, you're going to see an increase, because it's like we're not seeing a direct hit yet here at the shelter, but people want to make a difference to the organizations that they care about. And that's
Yep.
the name of the game in my book, is that if they care, they'll want to help. And if they don't, it may be another step to further the engagement. It's just opening up that line of communication.
I love it. Sara, you're awesome. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking care of those animals. I love seeing the cat pictures. It seems like if you put a cat picture in an email, that's like half the battle. So,
I mean, we put kittens and dogs. Anyway, I'm surprised
Smart.
my dog hasn't joined us for this.
Oh.
For this, she's sleeping. She's sleeping on the job. I mean, my goodness.
Well, thanks for doing this. I think you're going to help a lot of people that are watching this. So,
Awesome. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Thanks for doing
Thanks,
this. This is
Stephen.
awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.